Andrew, after a good session there, and one of the things I suppose that really jumped out at me, you said there's a lot of the work that's going on here in Tully, you're trying to find these curve bender bulls. Just explain that a bit.
So one of the challenges that we have whenever we pull together all of the relevant data linked to profitability and bring it into an overall index such as the replacement index is that very often the traits are working against each other. So if you take traits like carcass, weight and conformation, those are traits that go together. Whereas if you bring milk into the picture, well, those are two traits or sets of traits, the carcass traits and the milk traits that are working against each other. As you breed and improve carcass weight, you're actually going to breed milk out of cows. And that's the biggest challenge that we've faced in the suckler industry here in Ireland, is that we've focused very, very heavily on these carcass weight traits, the conformation, the muscle, and as a consequence we now have a suckler herd that has certainly sent lots of size and capacity but really doesn't have the milk and fertility. So what we're trying to do within the replacement index is really identify the bulls that have both. We call them the curve benders, the bulls that have good carcass weight, conformation traits, but also have the milk. And the replacement index, if you look within it, those high replacement index bulls are generally those bulls that are these curve benders that have both.
Yeah, a lot of the slides you put up, and one in particular, created a good bit of discussion and debate. Like, you want to breed from within the suckler herd that farmers can go out, they can look at first class dairy animals, they might have 5 stars, but as we've seen an example of 2 animals here with very different performance, that's not the road that you want all suckler farmers to be taking, because I suppose of the implications of selecting short gestation, easy calving. Maybe explain a small bit about that side of things.
So, in many ways, the simple solution from an ICBF perspective, if you look about the future of the suckler herd, and there's a lot of people have made very valid arguments to this effect that, well, we have a growing dairy herd, we need beef from the dairy herd, and that's going to increase, and surely there are going to be first crossed heifers from the dairy herd in the future that would then or could then become the suckler herd replacements. Currently about 25% of our suckler herd are these first crosses from the dairy herd. The challenge that we particularly see is with that, taking that approach, is that if we talk and look at the dairy farmer, his primary motivation around beef from the dairy herd is very definitely short gestation and easy calving. And whilst that delivers for him, that will not necessarily deliver the sort of suckler cow that we need in the future, because and if we look at some of the bulls that are coming through now that are really easy calving and short gestation within the relevant breeds, where they really, the challenge then is on the carcass traits that are then needed to go into the replacement index. So we would see that route of focusing just on beef from the dairy herd as not one that is in the best long-term interests of the suckler beef industry. It'll certainly serve a short-term requirement, but long-term we would prefer to see, look, we have a fantastic resource which is the suckler beef herd with 900,000, 1 million cows, and we have pedigree beef herds and breeds in behind that, and the whole concept of Gene Ireland, the programme, is then about generating genetic gain for the traits that are important for the suckler beef industry. And those traits, I come back to, it's the carcass weight, it's milk and fertility, it's cost of feed as in the size of the cow, and we're very confident then that with the beef genomics programme that's a much more sustainable long-term model that will really drive us to have the type of suckler cow that we need in the future, which is going to be, it's going to be a smaller cow that eats less feed, but she's going to be milky, she's going to be fertile, and she's going to have a good quality calf that'll take through the slaughter to get to the slaughter weights that beef farmers want, the 380 kilos or 400 kilos in terms of young bull steers, and a bit lighter for heifers.
Ultimately, Andrew, we'll finish on this maybe, it's about getting as much information from farmers and back out to farmers. BDGP is working well, is it in, say, starting to get information flow both ways?
Yes, it is. I mean, the BDGP has been, look, it's been a fantastic scheme in terms of actually generating large volumes of data and genotyped animals to help us really more accurately and more quickly identify the superior both females and males for the breeding programme. And that linked in with the data that's being collected here at Tully directly in terms of the feed intake data, the carcass cut data, the meat eating quality data, and then also the data that's collected within the Gene Ireland, the commercial suckler herds that are using the young bulls that are coming through the programme. So they're collecting the BDGP data, but also we're going out onto those farms and weighing the cows and weighing the calves that just gives us the confidence that the pool of data certainly is coming together that allows us then to more accurately identify the really high replacement index bulls, and the big challenge that we do see going forward then is about creating the momentum to start to get both bull breeders but also commercial suckler farmers to have the confidence to use now these young high replacement index bulls back into their breeding herds to generate their next generation of replacements. That's how you really generate genetic gain, and that's how we'll have a more profitable suckler herd in the future.